2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Oh, man, I am so excited. We are getting down to the wire here, are we not? We are just 8 days away. A week from tomorrow is Election Day. A week from tomorrow night is going to be the night that we announce President Donald J. Trump has won a second term of president for the United States of America. Welcome into the program. We have so much to get to. It's flying by so fast. Are you ready? Are you ready for the whirlwind? Are you ready for the craziness from the media, the craziness from the left-wing progressives? Are you ready for the absolute lunacy that's going to come with this election in just a week from now? Welcome into the program. Great to have you along for the ride today. Broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at, however you may be watching or listening. We appreciate you very much. We are on radio and TV, as we mentioned, also live streaming on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, on Parler, and on Minds.com as well. All of them plus the website at HooserReason.com, which means you have no opportunity to miss the show, as we are also live streaming on Podbean Live as well. So I'm getting some messages. Burr, it's cold. Yeah, it's very cold. So I don't know if you live in the mid-America region, but we finally got hit with the cold weather. It's been ridiculously warm here lately, which I love. It's been awesome. I have been doing some activities outside, obviously, with campaigning, and then doing some track announcing for a local dirt racetrack, which is a lot of fun. I got to do that for the last couple months. And Halloween night, this coming up Saturday, is our final race of the season. So everything's coming to an end within the next week for me with the races and with election time and being a campaign manager. It's been extremely busy, but yet I have loved it. And now, thankfully, it's been holding off in the extremely cold weather up until now. So now we get to finally enjoy a little bit of fall, a little bit of winter time. I was driving in today, and for the first time, it started snowing here in the Kansas area. And I was driving in this morning, and it was frosted over on the windshield, and the snow was starting to come down, and it was getting heavier the more I came closer to the radio studio. And for some reason, nostalgia took over me today. And when I was driving in, I got the feeling of like when I was back in high school, driving up the mountains of Colorado to Breckenridge to go snowboarding. I mean, it had that feel to it. It was beautiful. It was cold. It was a little breezy, a little windy. Everything just had a nice layer of snow on it. Snow was coming down on the windshield. I just got that nostalgic feeling that I was driving up the mountains to go snowboarding in Colorado, and I loved it. So what I did was I put in an old CD. I have my CD case. Yes, I still use CDs. I don't just use the electronic stuff. My car's old enough it doesn't have the plug-in for my phone or anything, so I actually still use my CD case. I was flipping through my CD case, and I found one of my old nostalgic high school albums I used to listen to all the time. And like the Teen Bopper, Screamo, not the heavy stuff I listen to now, but a little bit lighter high school flavor. And I popped that in to remind me of those good old drives. And I rolled down my window with the snow flying everywhere, cranked up the heat, blared the music. And I don't know, I had that nostalgic moment. And I don't know why, but it was awesome. It was a great way to start the day after a wonderful weekend that it was. So hopefully you had a great weekend as well. I had a fantastic time, had some family time, had a date night with the Mrs. Voice of Reason. So it was all around absolutely wonderful. And I am ready. I am geared up. I am refueled. I am recharged, ready to go for this last week, which is more to say than what's going on the other side of the aisle. We have Joe Biden. I've never seen this before. Oh, and by the way, coming up on the program, we have Kimberly Fletcher. She is the president and CEO of Moms for America. She's been on the show many times before. She's going to come on at the bottom of the hour to give us an update on the female vote going into general election time, get her thoughts on the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett, which I'm waiting. We have live updates going on media right now on the potential vote. They're doing the ceremonial stuff right now before the vote. So I'm waiting to see actually when they're going to vote. Maybe they'll do it during the show, which will give you some live updates as that's going on. If not, then it's going to pass. I mean, they passed it to push her onto the floor of the Senate over the weekend with a 51-48 vote. We have Mike Pence saying that he did a rally earlier today, and now he's flying back to Washington, D.C. to potentially be that tie-breaking vote if he needs to be in the Senate. But I don't think he's going to. I think we're still going to get a 51-48 vote, and it's going to be a simple pass-through. We're done. By tonight, we will have another U.S. Supreme Court justice nominated and passed by Republicans and President Donald Trump. So it's going to be a great day for America. It's going to be phenomenal. While Donald Trump is out doing 2 to 3 rallies a day, Mike Pence is out there doing 1 to 2 rallies a day. I've never seen anything like this in my life. From the time that I got involved in politics in high school, that time that I was driving up the mountain, doing the snowboarding, feeling the snow come down, listening to my high school little Teen Bopper Screamo, thinking I was a cool kid, riding up there with my snowboard in the back of my car and loaded up with all the headgear, rolling down the windows, watching the snow rolling, cranking it up. Since that time, when I first got involved in politics and I took my first government class in high school, I've never seen anything like this. Now, obviously, that wasn't too long ago. I've only been through a few elections, presidential-wise, but I've never seen in my life anything like this before. A candidate running for president of the United States like Joe Biden, 8 days away from the election, nothing on his schedule. He has canceled all events for the next 8 days. Now, he apparently did a virtual video rally, little hoorah on there, where he goes on, he stumbles around, he says, please get out the vote, go to ivote.com or whatever he says, and then he's done. I saw on media today, I think she was on The View, which go figure. I don't know who anybody listens to The View anyways, but The View had on Kamala Harris. That's their campaign now. That's their campaign strategy. Throw money onto TV and radio ads and then do TV interviews. Not the grassroots. I've never seen this in my life. That is not how you win elections. Let's step back from the I hate Donald Trump. I think he's the worst thing in the entire world. He's a neo-Nazi. He's a fascist. He's the Cheeto, whatever the Democrats want to call him. Let's step back from the Joe Biden and the Hunter Biden emails and the terrible things that he's done or him being in office for 47 years. Let's step back from all that for a second. We're too in the weeds with this general election for just a moment, and let's step back and look at the process of this election on how things are being done right now. You're in the last final moments. 60 plus million people have already voted in this nation. But yet, that's only, really, if you want to look at it, that's only about half the voters that are going to turn out. Usually each candidate gets roughly between 60 to 65 million votes, which means roughly 45% of the vote has already come in, if that's accurate. Which I think is going to be a lot higher because a lot of people have been registering to vote this year because they're really excited. And I can't really see the excitement coming from the left side of the aisle with Joe Biden. But let's digress from all that for a second. What is the proper campaign tactics? Anybody have actually campaigned and actually tried to run for maybe a local office, city council, county commission, state representative maybe a township, maybe a precinct committee person, whatever. You ever tried to run for office? Have you ever helped out with a campaign, maybe sat in the building, in the campaign headquarters where people come and get their yard signs and their bumper stickers and talk to you about politics? Have you ever done that? Have you ever been part of the college Republicans or college Democrats, even on the other side of the aisle, to where your job essentially is to rally students on campus and then go and help local candidates? Where you knock on the doors, you put the flyers on people's door, you make the phone calls with the phone banks. They had the little games of, if you can hit 500 calls today, we'll give you a cookie. It's the way it usually goes. Have you ever heard in your entire life a candidacy that does not do anything the week prior to election? This is when you hit the hardest. Now, I know that people have already usually made up their minds right now, and usually the talking points steer away from vote for me to just get out the vote. Hopefully you know who you're going to vote for. Look, if you're still undecided by this point in the game with someone like Donald Trump or someone like Joe Biden, if you're still undecided, then I don't think anything is going to help you. And I really honestly think it's more about your attention seeking than it is your actual uncertainty about who you're going to vote for. Come on. You know Donald Trump. You know him since 2015 when he started running for office. You've known him the last 4 years as president of the United States. You know what he does on Twitter. You know how he interviews. You know how he goes after the left side of the aisle. You know the policies that he actually advocates for. You know what he does. Don't give me this, I don't know who I'm voting for. Can you try and win me over? I think that's really just a call for trying to get special attention. I honestly truly think that's what that is. Nonetheless, have you ever seen a candidacy at all just stop campaigning 8 days before Election Day? I've never seen this in my life. Donald Trump is hitting it hard. Now, they say it's because it's his desperate attempt to win over the last little bit of voters that he can. But then they say, well, while he's doing that, he's railing on the same things over and over, and he's starting to close up a little bit, and he's only appealing to us and pandering to a certain group of voters and only this little secluded part of the Republican Party. Now, 20,000 people are still showing up to his rallies. They're showing up in the cold, in the wintertime, a week before election time, wearing the MAGA hats, flying the MAGA flags, but yet he's only pandering. They're desperate because at the same time, any political strategist would turn around and say, oh, wow, this is really crazy. I've never seen a presidential campaign actually not campaign the week before election time. Do a couple virtual things, just kind of hang out in his basement. I don't know if it's true or not. There's a rumor from a post that's posting around social media, kind of spreading around there. And again, it's not verified. I don't know whether it's true or not. But supposedly there's some internals coming out from the Joe Biden campaign to where the campaign headquarters all over the country are just deserted. Volunteers have stopped coming out. Job's done. We got the yard signs out. We knocked on the doors. We don't need to do anything more. This is when you make the last little bit of phone calls, right? Hey, make sure to go out and vote. Hey, remember, next Tuesday's election day. Hey, make sure to go vote. But instead, again, this is unverified, so I'm just speculating here. But it makes sense with what's going on with Joe Biden sitting in his basement, not doing anything, canceling all events for the next 8 days, just doing a couple little TV interviews, Kamala Harris doing a couple TV interviews and just throwing money at it. We've talked about it before. There's a big difference. Any political strategist will always tell you this. Grassroots campaigning is what wins you elections. Going out and knocking on the doors physically, talking to people in person, asking to put yard signs in their yards, getting that exposure, doing the phone banks and calling people as well, but boots on the ground. Grassroots campaigning is what wins elections. Donald Trump is doing better at that than I think any presidential candidate has in the last, 60, 80 years. Personally, from what I'm seeing. I haven't seen TV ads for Donald Trump. I've seen people on the streets knocking on doors. I've seen yard signs and flags more than I've ever seen any type of presidential candidate out there before. I've seen more excitement that way. I haven't seen a TV ad. He's doing it totally different. Now, any political expert that would tell you what a campaign should look like, any internal campaign strategist would say, that's how you win elections. So why is the media not telling you about this? Because I think, honestly, they know that their candidate, Joe Biden's going to lose. I think, honestly, they know that their polling is rigged. I think, honestly, that they know that their polling is not correct and that Joe Biden is going to lose in a landslide. So they're not talking about these strategies of campaigning. Regardless of what you believe in with one candidate or another, I don't think it really matters right now. Because anybody in any other election, they'd be saying, wow, what's Joe Biden doing sitting in his basement 8 days before Election Day? Wow, look at that. Donald Trump is hustling, doing 3 rallies a day for the next week. Mike Pence on the campaign trail as well, doing 1 to 2 rallies a day. This is crazy how hard they are working. This is crazy how much they're putting in that blood, sweat, and tears all over the country. Probably exhausted beyond belief, except for Donald Trump, because he never stops. But he's hustling more than I've seen any political candidate do before, and Joe Biden's sitting in his basement. If this was a nonpartisan media, they would say, wow, Joe Biden is going to get his you-know-what completely handed to him because he's not even putting in the effort to make this campaign happen. Volunteers are walking out of the volunteer headquarters, from what I've heard, at least the rumor mill that's spreading on social media. Again, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I can only speculate based on what Joe Biden's doing, and Joe Biden ain't doing squat. So why would the volunteers be out there hustling for him if he can't even do it himself? It's a wild time. Never seen this in my entire life. We got a lot to get to. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll see if we can't get a live update from Amy Coney Barrett. We'll talk about the Supreme Court nomination. What does that mean going into a week before election time? Plus, we'll have Kimberly Fletcher coming on the show after the bottom of the hour. Lots to get to here on a Monday for The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at. We appreciate you each and every day. So I have decided, for those that listen to us every day on the podcasting, because we do upload the podcast of the show every day, I have decided, I've been not wanting to do it because obviously we have downloads of the podcast all over the country and outside of the country as well quite a bit. But all over the country. We're in about 40 states now, I think, for the downloads of the show. And on Saturdays, other than just doing the Voice of Reason national broadcast during the week, on Saturdays on KQAM here, my flagship here out of Wichita, I do a 2-hour state show talking about state politics, talking about the governor, some of the state legislative issues, some tax rates, the elections, candidates going on here. And it's a lot of fun because obviously I like to still have my fingers in the local politics to have a local impact here in the community as well. And I haven't done it except for this Saturday. We finally put up the podcast of the show on the Voice of Reason podcast site as well. And I've been kind of going back and forth on whether it was a good idea or not, because I don't know how relevant it is for all the listeners outside of the state of Kansas to really listen to. But I decided to do it on Saturday, and we got some decent response. We got some decent amount of downloads on there. So if you see that, if you see Kansas Talk come up on there on the podcast on the weekends, then if you live outside of the state, maybe it's a way for you to just kind of listen to some politics going on internally in the state of Kansas. If not, then you can just skip over it and not download it. I'm okay with that. But either way, there's a lot of people that have been wanting to listen to the podcast because they can't always listen to it live. So we figured, why the heck not? So we put the Kansas Talk podcast on the Voice of Reason podcast site on Saturdays as well. And I think we may start doing that little by little as we go along as well each week. It's only one episode a week, so if it's not interesting, you don't listen to that one. I don't really care. But I figured that those that do want to listen to it might get some value out of it, or just want to hear more of Andy Hooser, I guess, if you want to as well. Which, by the way, you can find the podcast on any of your podcasting sites, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, TuneIn. We're also on the new Amazon Music, which is really cool as well. So you can find us on any of them. Just search The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser, and you can find the show, and it's really cool. You can subscribe, have it automatically downloaded. You can also listen to us on the ever-increasing radio stations that we're on, TV stations that we're broadcasting on as well. And you can always just go to the website at HooserReason.com, and you can find us on there as well. We got coined today. I was guest on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense with Mark Walters, a great personal friend, as you know, national talk show talking about Second Amendment issues. We got coined the Millennial General today, just by the comments we were having, and he coined us as the Millennial General. So I was pondering that. We may have to coin that here on the show as well. So the Voice of Reason now, the Millennial General, trying to lead the charge for the millennial conservative principles, which are very difficult to do, it seems like, today's time. So we may have to kind of roll with that one, with the Millennial General. Have to think on that one a little bit. Let me know your thoughts there as well. So we have, according to the Associated Press, U.S. to get ninth justice with Dems powerless to block Amy Coney Barrett. The divided Senate is set to confirm Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court, giving the country a ninth justice today as Republicans overpower Democrat opposition to secure President Donald Trump's nominee the week before Election Day. She will get confirmed. I'm still guessing it's still going to be the simple 51-48 vote, like we saw over the weekend, to allow her case to continue onto the floor of the U.S. Senate. They got to vote. It's weird. They have to vote to allow the vote to happen, which is just the process that goes on in Washington, D.C., and that one passed 51-48. So it should be a simple process. By the end of the day today, we should have a Supreme Court Justice of Amy Coney Barrett officially approved by the U.S. Senate with Republican control. What's that going to do to the election, and how are Democrats going to respond? They are powerless. They are angry about it, and they don't want this to happen because they see their agenda losing. As we talked about Joe Biden not doing anything right now, I think there's only two reasons for that. Either, number one, they're overconfident and they think they already have it in the bag, so they try and use the media to try and spread that misinformation by saying, oh, look, you don't need to turn out. Joe Biden's dominating. He's pulling ahead in all these swing states. You could do it that way, or it's because they know they're actually going to lose. and they just don't want to use any more resources. They don't want to spend any more money. They don't want to have to do anything else other than just sit back and ride it out, because his poll numbers continue to rise, apparently, the more he just stays out of the limelight, which is very interesting. We'll talk about some more of that when we come back. Plus, we'll talk with Kimberly Fletcher with Monster America, all right here on a Monday of The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast, Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation one radio listener at a time. Or as one radio host called us today, the millennial general reporting for duty. I kind of like that. I'll roll with that. Welcome back into the show. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at. We appreciate you each and every day as we continue to get into election coverage, which we are excited about. So let's go into election cycle. What do you say?
Election 2020.
Also, we are still waiting as we're trying to get the live updates of what's going on in Washington, D.C. with the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett on the U.S. Supreme Court. So that vote should be happening here really any time, I think, as we have a lot of the media outlets doing live updates from there. So we'll touch on that here in a second once we get to more information. But to talk about some of that and more, as I know everybody's extremely busy, 8 days away while Donald Trump's doing 3 rallies a day, Joe Biden sleeping in his basement. And from what we're hearing, rumor-wise, is that there's volunteers for the Joe Biden campaign all over the nation that are just, they're kind of done. You know what? He's done, and we're a week out. What more can we do? I mean, honestly, going knocking on doors, putting out yard signs, making phone calls, getting people out to vote. Why can't we do just what Joe Biden's doing as a virtual thing every day and just talking to people? So it's other people, like, real people that understand grassroots campaigning, understand the importance of getting out the vote and trying to rally people before election time, especially just 8 days away. So I'm so excited to have her back on the program. It's been way too long since we've had her on. We love chatting with her on the show. She is the president and founder of Moms for America, which you can find online, momsforamerica.us. But Kimberly Fletcher hanging out with us here again today. Kim, how are you, my friend?
I am great. So glad to be here. Election is rearing up, ready to go.
I am excited. It's kind of our Super Bowl, isn't it? We get a little excited for this.
It is. It is. I mean, they're yelling and screaming at the TV, and then my husband knows, it's voting time again.
Mm-hmm. The best time, is when you get the wads of newspaper to throw at the TV when you get angry.
What else is it good for?
I know. What else is it good for? You can't read that garbage anymore, and a baseball is just a little too harsh after spending the money. So, you know what? Newspaper, that's the perfect use for it right there.
Right.
Absolutely. I know you guys have been extremely busy on the campaign trail, talking to people, trying to get women out to vote, focusing on that women voter, which, as you said last time that you came on, is one of the biggest demographics turning out to the voting precincts here, whether it's early voting or whether it's turning out on election day next week. But what's the response you guys been getting? Is it positive? Are you seeing more people register and vote, or do you think it's just kind of the same old this year?
It is not the same old. I will tell you that for sure. And I'm always kind of afraid to tell people, the good news, because then we might have bad news, and the bad news is that they think everything's great, so they just stay home.
Yeah.
So everybody needs to just think about that quote. Pray as if everything depends on God, and then work our butts off as if everything depends on us, because in this election it couldn't be more true than that. But I will tell you that there is good news, and that is that a lot of women who've not registered before are getting registered, and moms in these suburban communities are not happy with what's going on in our country. They do not like the fear-mongering that the Democrats are throwing at them. They do not like the media consistent beating of the drum of this COVID nonsense. And is COVID real? Of course it is, but we would like COVID to be treated as COVID and not as a political stomping speech and political weapon, and that's what it's turned into. The virus has now become a political plague, and we're fed up with it, and it's really kind of across the board. But moms in Michigan and Wisconsin and those areas where the violence has escalated are especially upset with what's going on, and they are going to be coming out, and they are really going to be voting their values this time.
I can only imagine. I mean, the civil unrest really has shaken a lot of things up. And while they say that Joe Biden and Democrats are leading in the polls in Wisconsin and Michigan and Montana and Minnesota and all these states where they predominantly do well, the civil unrest, in my opinion, is going to turn the tide the other direction. And specifically because of moms and families that are scared. I'm sure not only have we seen mothers and wives and women be the number one growing demographic for individuals getting concealed carry and getting firearms to protect themselves because they're concerned of the civil unrest, but that really rallies them to say, you know what, I am not going to live in a community that I'm concerned to take my kids out to school, to be able to go shopping on a daily basis without something crazy happening. I'm going to fix the system, and that's got to steer them towards the right side of the aisle, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And you know, the irony of it is that it's not just happening in suburban communities. It's happening in inner city communities too. If you look at the stats on the new gun owners, there's a lot of black women in these urban communities who are becoming gun owners. If the police aren't going to, they're going to be defunding the police, and the police aren't going to be there to protect their families when they need them, they're going to be protecting their own. And I think there's a lot of crossover coming here. The stuff that's being thrown at us really smacked in the face of moms every day. We're repelling it. And what our whole message has been is, ladies, the two places where your voice has the greatest influence and impact is in your home and through your vote. You teach these principles in your home, go secure them with your vote. And it's working. They felt disconnected, like, why don't do politics? My husband votes, that's all good. But now, with this messaging that we're pushing and pushing and pushing, they're realizing we can make a difference, and we can do it with our vote, because that is our voice for our values, and we can stop this right now. And it's working. I mean, you can just, when you see what's going on in the country right now, when you say, many people are saying, Joe Biden's just hunkered down in his basement. He doesn't need to be out there thumping. The media is doing it for him constantly, literally beating the drum into the ground of, it's about character, and they're all supporting. They're all supporting the former vice president, and they're giving no grace whatsoever to the president, none. And people are fed up with that as well. But if they're working that hard to try and convince us that we're all going to die if we don't vote for Joe Biden, then they've got to be running scared.
Yeah, I've never seen this before. I've never seen a campaign where they actually cancel all events 8 days leading up to the presidential election. I mean, Trump's out there doing 2 to 3 rallies a day. Mike Pence is doing 1 to 2 rallies a day. Joe Biden's sitting in his basement. And you're right. I mean, the media's campaigning for him, which is crazy. I mean, every political analyst, any election strategist would say, if they looked at 2 candidates and didn't even know who they were, one sitting at home a week before the election, the other doing 3 rallies, you're going to look at that and say, wow, look at that guy doing the grassroots campaigning. What really wins elections, and everybody out there volunteering, everybody out there flying the flags or wearing the hats or doing the stickers or going to rallies or doing whatever, that's the side that's going to have an absolute blowout in an election, because just by a political analyst side, someone sitting at home in their basement doing a couple virtual rallies is not going to win an election in any way, shape, or form.
You're right. And how much of that have they shown? Yeah. That's another thing. So while the media is out there, basically politicking for Joe Biden, they're completely shutting out any of the coverage of any of these rallies that are going on literally all over the country. You wouldn't even know they were happening. I mean, I'll just tell you, my daughter and I, we're driving home from Washington, D.C., and we decided to take a Liberty trip, through Pennsylvania and look at some of the historic sites. Everywhere we went, there are Trump, not just Trump signs, Trump flags and banners in gross. I mean, they're everywhere, mass amounts. And so for people to go out of their way and do that, they're doing the boat tours, they're doing the driving rallies. They are doing this because that is their message. They want people to know we're here. And one of the things I tell people all the time is we are the new media. If we don't document it, it didn't happen. And so they are doing it. And now it's all over, so it's all over Twitter, it's all over Facebook. So what, of course, the social media then has to shut us down. But I'm telling you, there is a tsunami coming. Yeah. And that tsunami is people of faith, mothers of faith, people who are just fed up. A lot of people who you would say are in the middle, they're coming out in mass. You see them at these rallies, and you're going to see them at the polls, and a lot of them have already voted. And I please, when people hear that, don't stay home and think we're good. We're not, okay? We need to have every single vote and do everything that we can, because it's going to take the concerted efforts of every good American to win this election. And, what we saw in the hearings is just proof of what it is that we're facing. I just wrote an article on Town Hall last week, and the title was, this election isn't about Joe Biden, and it was never about Donald Trump. They loved him. People that, hung all over him like groupies now hate him, and it's not because he ran for president. It's because he ran as a conservative. Yeah. So this is about the ideals that America was founded on. One man is supporting it, holding the line, and the other is not. And this is one of the things I tell moms all the time is, the barbarians are at the gate. So who do you want defending the gate? Somebody who, speaks politely, or a fighter who's at the gate making sure nobody gets in, or the Trojan horse who speaks politely, and then what do you get?
Yeah.
We roll out the communist red carpet. That's exactly where we're at.
That's where we're at, and that's why you see, like you had mentioned so eloquently, is the fact that we're holding our own parades. We're holding our own rallies in support of Trump, and not just putting a yard sign out, but flying 3 different flags in our yard because we're so excited, and the energy is just unbelievable. We got about 45 seconds. We're talking with Kimberly Fletcher, president, founder of Moms for America. You can find them online, momsforamerica.us. But the Amy Coney Barrett, about to be confirmed anytime this evening. They're doing the live updates right now. Is this exhilarating moms and females as well to get to the voting booth because of the attack that she went under for being a Catholic and having 7 kids and just being a mom?
That fired them up. It was all over our Facebook page. What an amazing woman for our daughters to look up to. And moms are excited that we have a woman of faith, a woman who is unapologetically pro-life, who's going to be on the court. Not because she's pro-life necessarily, but because she's a constitutionalist and she happens to be pro-life. When have we ever seen that? A woman who's pro-life on the bench? They're excited. And so for the way that they treated her, no, they didn't like that at all. And they came from all over the country and met with us in D.C. to stand for this woman. So it definitely made a difference.
I love it. I love it. That's the excitement that we need to see. And you're right. The moms, when you get Mama Bear angry, don't look out. I mean, you can have the AOCs right. trying to go out there and change things, but she's no Mama Bear, and Mama Bears are going to come out of the closet when you upset them. And that's what's happening in this election. Moms for America. Find them momsforamerica.us. Kimberly Fletcher, it's always great to talk to you. I'm excited. We got to get you back on right after the election and hopefully do a little celebration.
Yeah, let's celebrate.
Hey, fantastic. I love it. We always appreciate it right there, Kimberly Fletcher. We'll take a break, wrap up the show. It goes by way too fast. Lots more coming up here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station.
We're here for you.
Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. You want to know why this election is so important? Why we try and do the rally, the get out the vote push so big, so bigly, as Donald Trump would say, it's so bigly, it's going to be the best one, the biggest one you've ever seen in your entire life. You want to know why? It's because, as you know, with this mail-in voter system, which I think is affecting more Democrats than they are Republicans, obviously, because Democrats are the ones fearful of actually going out and voting in person, so they're the ones predominantly doing the mail-in voting. Now, that's not to say Republicans aren't, because Republicans are, but overwhelmingly more Democrats are voting in person or by mail, while Republicans are voting either early or on election day, in my opinion, in person. And the reason that we need to show up en masse, even if we think that we're going to win, even if you live in a very red district and you're like, it doesn't really matter, it's going to go towards Donald Trump anyways, or it's going to go towards my candidate, whether at the state level or the local level anyways, it doesn't matter. Show up to vote. Show up to vote, because you want to know why? As you know, with the whole voter fraud scare that went on both sides of the aisle, both sides, Republicans and Democrats, Trump and Biden, both have attorneys ready to go to file lawsuits that it's a fraudulent election, fraudulent numbers, and we may be looking at recounts there after Election Day if it's too close. What we need to do is we need to show up en masse to such a large degree that there is zero question in any way, shape, or form that Donald Trump wins this election. I'm still predicting a 320 Electoral College victory for Donald Trump. I've said that since January. I'm going to stick to it. 320. I don't know whether it's going to happen or not, even if we're not near that, but we hit maybe 300. You need 270 to win. I don't care if it's 271. Doesn't really matter. I'm still predicting 320 that he's going to get by the end of the day on Tuesday. But we need to win in such a large form that there is zero question from the opposition for them to try and challenge it legally. Because you know that's what they're going to do. I mean, remember, you still had Hillary Clinton that told Joe Biden not to concede on election night. You have Nancy Pelosi saying that we need to forcefully remove Trump from office with the military. We have everybody on the Democrat side saying that he's the one rigging the election, that he's the one trying to stop the U.S. Postal Service from actually delivering the mail and the ballots, that he's the one corrupting this election system. Well, he's the one saying, wait a second, it's not going to be fair. Look at all the shenanigans going on. All these ballots that are just all of a sudden just surprisingly dropping into a dumpster have my name all over them. What's going on here? There's something weird going on. So we need to show up in such a form, no matter what they do to try and rig the election to make it favorable to them, that it doesn't matter. We still win in such a large form. That's why it's important. So even if you live in that district or you're like, it doesn't really matter, I'm going to show up. Everybody else will show up. We're going to win in a big form. We're going to go red in my district. Electoral college votes means we're not going to get the popular vote. It doesn't matter about the popular vote. You're right. It doesn't. And by legal terms, it doesn't matter about the popular vote. At the same time, for the purpose of this election, we want the popular vote to even go to Trump, even with the fact that we don't really count it per se, because we want to show in such a fashion that Donald Trump wins this election. Because anything close, and it's going to be challenged. It's going to be drug out. The Democrats have the system in hold. The establishment has the system in check to where they're going to make sure the outcome is not favorable to the way that we would like it to be. And then it's going to be we're going to remove Trump from office. We're going to make sure he's out of there. We're going to get our guy back in there, and everything's going to be hunky-dory, right? That's what they want. And we can't let that happen. So, yeah, show up and vote. Make sure everybody shows up to vote. Don't vote multiple times, obviously, but make sure to get everybody out there to vote, because it's going to be that important to show up en masse just to prove that we're not messing around here. And again, I don't see any excitement on the left side of the aisle. None whatsoever. I've seen maybe 5 Biden signs. That's about it. And no one actually carrying a Biden flag. But you see the people carrying the flags for Trump, see the people wearing hats or shirts or doing the MAGA yard signs, whatever they're doing. This is a movement, a political movement that I have not seen before. And populism does that. That's what populism does overall, is an ideology. But at the same time, it's more than that. It's deeper than that. It is the understanding that we are in a crazy battle right now, between not just between Republicans and Democrats, but between establishment politicians who like the way things are going. The Joe Biden looking at the camera and saying, I'm voting for you. You're voting for me. You know my character. You don't know. You know his character. This is about that. And you just need to vote for me because you know what I do. You know who I am. Just vote for me. I'm talking directly to you. It's not about him. And then Donald Trump brilliantly coming out and saying that's such a political response. You're such a politician. That's why I ran for office, is because politicians like you that people are sick and tired of. Don't fall for that again, because they try and talk sweet. They try and talk nice. We just had Kamala Harris try and introduce a bill last week or 2 weeks ago, trying to extend the school day by 3 hours nationally, so that way it syncs more with workers' timelines. Try and get a kid to stay in class an additional 3 hours and see how well that works for them when they're already not soaking things up for like the last 2 hours of the day because they're already done and tired and already absorbed it all. That's the kind of policy you're going to get from the left side of the aisle because they just don't care. Hashtag Democrats don't care. That does it for us today. Podcast going up a little bit. We got lots of guests coming on the program all this week, the final week before election time. Don't miss it. Until then, this is The Voice of Reason. Everybody have a wonderful Monday evening. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.